Versatility, they made 2 trades, first with the Texans to go down to 12, and then with the Lions to move up to 6. General Manager Monti Ossenfort is making a splash in his first draft.
Already not wasting any time as far as trying to put the pieces together to get this team in 2023 on the straight and narrow. You're right. You drop down 9 spots and then you jump up to pick number 6 with the Detroit Lions, who the Cardinals have an eye on. Is it another edge rusher? Is it an offensive lineman? Is it a defensive lineman? Cardinals certainly with a lot of needs. A lot of moving pieces, though, right now, as we understand that the Cardinals certainly, according to what we saw in the war room, very happy with whatever they're doing with pick number 6.
Because the Cardinals have so many needs, and now they have 7 picks in the draft, it makes sense to trade down because you're still going to get a player that can make an impact, again, because you have so many needs, while also getting draft capital looking ahead to next year, because the Cardinals traded with Detroit, so they lost 12 and swapped to get 6, and Detroit now gets the Cardinals' 34th overall pick. The Cardinals still have the 33rd pick from the trade with the Texans, and they also have Houston's 1st and 3rd in 2024. So they are planning ahead while also addressing some needs right now.
Cardinals have done a lot so far. 2 different trades with pick number 6. The pick is in, and it certainly sounds like right now we talk about the line of scrimmage, whether that's the offensive line or the defensive line. That's where games are won, at the line of scrimmage. And we know that this team has looked defensive line. We also know this team has looked at offensive line. We've also heard, according to reports, Dani, that Kyler Murray has had his eye on an offensive tackle from Ohio State with Paris Johnson. Could that be the potential pick? And it is. That is the pick. Paris Johnson Jr. is an Arizona Cardinal, an offensive tackle with the 6th overall pick, and a trade the Cardinals made with the Detroit Lions.
So how about that, Craig? You were spot on with your timing. You're right. The Cardinals get a tackle from Ohio State. Paris Johnson Jr., 6'6", 313 pounds. He has that versatility that you like on an offensive line, that coaching staffs like. He has experience at right guard in 2021 and then was the starting left tackle for the Buckeyes this year. In 2022, with more than 200 snaps, he allowed just 2 sacks. Now, here's the question. How does this make sense for the Cardinals, where tackle seems to be the spot you probably felt most comfortable in?
We've heard both Monti and Jonathan Gannon talk about versatility at the offensive line, defensive line, and now you have a player who last year played left tackle. The year before played guard. So what do you do now? You've got DJ Humphries, you've got Kelvin Beachum, you've got Josh Jones. In order to get Johnson on the field right away, can you throw him in the mix at left guard, potentially right guard, where you move Will Anderson, to left guard, where he has experience?
Will Hernandez.
I'm sorry, Will Hernandez?
I know, we're thinking about the draft. It's okay. I wanted to make sure Cardinals fans weren't confused.
There is a lot of moving parts here, but you have someone that is experienced, the versatility. NFL Network's Daniel Jeremiah called Johnson quick feet out of his stance, lands his punch, can steer and control. In the run game, strong hands to latch on, runs his feet on contact to create movement, flashes a nasty streak to finish to the ground. So you want that in an offensive lineman, and you love the size at 6'6", 313. Paris Johnson Jr. now an Arizona Cardinal.
Head coach Jonathan Gannon talks a lot about wanting competition at every position out on the field. So that's why this front office, the coaching staff is also probably thinking right now drafting a tackle when you have DJ Humphries right now on the left side and Kelvin Beachum on the right, and you have Josh Jones entering the 4th year in the league who's been your swing. However, little competition doesn't hurt.
No, and then when we talk about the draft, it's also not only just the immediate, but it's the long term as well. And you talk about DJ Humphries, he is the only offensive lineman signed beyond 2024. And he is only signed through 2025. So Cardinal fans, when you look at this pick, yes, it's 2023. Can you get him on the field, whether at tackle or at guard, but also long term, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. So that is something to consider when you're talking about Monti Ossenfort. His first pick as general manager, as a first-time general manager, is an offensive lineman. And historically, you look back at the last 15 drafts with the Arizona Cardinals dating back to 2008, only 2 offensive linemen drafted in either the 1st or 2nd rounds. And Monti here on day 1 takes an offensive lineman.
Gannon talks a lot about high character players. That's who he wants on this roster, and that's what you're getting in tackle Paris Johnson Jr., who has his own foundation. He has raised more than $15,000 for disadvantaged student athletes as well as disabled veterans. That fits with the type of character that Gannon wants on this team.
And again, we'll just have to wait and see now as far as fit. You would think because he played tackle just last season that would be more natural right away. But if there is a need, you're going to play the best 5 offensive linemen. And new offensive line coach Clayton Adams, it's now going to be up to him to kind of figure out where the best fit is for Paris Johnson. But you like the size, and you certainly love the versatility as far as where he's able to play. First things first, get him in the building, get him acclimated, and then figure out what's best. And maybe there is already a decision made as far as where they think he might be able to fit in automatically.
We'll get a chance to hear from both General Manager Monti Ossenfort as well as Head Coach Jonathan Gannon, so we can go ahead and ask them those questions later on. Let's take a look now that we've had a little bit of time to digest these trades and talk about the picks that the Cardinals do have in this year's draft. So they just selected tackle Paris Johnson Jr. with the 6th overall pick. That was a trade originally from 3 with the Texans to 12 and then back up to 6 with Detroit. The Cardinals have pick 33 in the 2nd round. That's from Houston. In the 3rd round, they have 94 and 96. And round 5, 168. And round 6, 180 and 213. A total of 7 picks in the draft. Craig, a lot of opportunities still for the Cardinals.
Absolutely. And you still look at the line of scrimmage, whether that's offensive line or defensive line. Certainly edge rusher. I think we're both in agreement, Danny, that edge rusher coming into this was the #1 priority for the Cardinals in the draft. You don't get it so far here in day 1, but potentially in day 2, where you now have the 33rd overall pick that you still have based off that trade with the Houston Texans that you acquired. So you're having an early pick on day 2. If it's not an edge rusher, we've heard about the depth at cornerback, and we know that's another position that this Cardinals desperately need as far as depth at that position.
Right. The Cardinals have a lot of holes on defense. You talked about pass rusher. They cut Marcus Golden. They lost cornerback Byron Murphy in free agency. And on that defensive line, Zach Allen to the Broncos and J.J. Watt through retirement. So as we're looking through those needs, I agree with you. I think that pass rusher is probably your greatest need right now. I think that when you have the pass rushers and you're looking at cornerbacks, those are probably the areas that are have the most depth in the draft, not so much like wide receivers, which might be a need for the Cardinals in the next, who knows how many, if that is coming, a possible trade for wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. But I agree with you that pass rusher is the greatest need right now for the Cardinals.
Just going back to Paris Johnson real quick, because as we're talking here on Cardinals Draft Central, doing a little bit more in-depth research on Paris Johnson Jr., there is a Paris Johnson Sr. And get this, Danny, former Arizona Cardinal draft pick back in 1999, 5th round selection, played 1 season with the Cardinals, the 122nd overall pick. So the Cardinals going with some familiarity once again here in 2023.
How about that? How about that little Cardinals connection? You know, this was only the 2nd time the Cardinals had a top 5 pick and traded down. The other was in 1998. So again, General Manager Monti Ossenfort is making a splash in this draft, his first one here with the Cardinals, his first one at the helm as a general manager. We will hear from him and head coach Jonathan Gannon later on. Let's talk about this offensive line, how it's going to be composed of now, because while you have some competition at the tackle spot and possibly with those guards, as you get more into the interior offensive line, Craig, you have a big question mark at center. So how do the Cardinals address the rest of this offensive line moving forward?
Well, despite what the head coach says here in April, and he's absolutely correct, he is comfortable with putting 5 players out there here in April, and that does include the center position. However, once the season begins, Danny, in September, I don't know if the starting center is on this roster right now. Yeah, you do have options, but it's the interior of the offensive line still that I think you need to look at. That's why maybe a Paris Johnson does fit in on the left side or potentially on the right side when you move Will Hernandez to the other side, where he has a lot of experience back when he played with the New York Giants. But that center position, that is a huge hole right now. Whether you can find someone in the draft or someone, maybe it's a competition, and maybe it is someone already on this roster. Maybe it is someone that this team has already signed. Yelda Froholt, a free agent signee, is the only offensive lineman with starting center experience in the National Football League, and that's only a handful of games. So not so much of a concern here in April, but certainly as we get closer and closer to the start of the season, yeah, center and interior of that offensive line needs to be addressed.
I understand that a lot of Cardinals fans were hopeful for Will Anderson as a pass rusher, or possibly Tyree Wilson. Tyree Wilson also just went off the board, pick number 7 to the Las Vegas Raiders. So as you're looking at this draft class, and we've talked about how that is a need, is that still plausible for the Cardinals to address on day 2, or is that something you have to see what veterans are now out there and look at other positions in the draft?
I do think that there is still enough draft talent at the edge position that you can find someone on day 2, early day 2. Again, maybe with that 33rd overall pick. Do not have number 34 anymore. That went with the Lions, plus pick number 12. So the Cardinals could move up to number 6. So when you're talking about an early day 2 pick, at the end of the day, you kind of go back, look at where your notes are, who's available, and then you can kind of go back and look and go, all right, where are our needs? Who do we still have high on the board? What we think is a top name, whether that's a Will Anderson or a Tyree Wilson. Maybe there's someone else that the Cardinals like just as much. Or again, you go back to the cornerback position and you still have that edge, but maybe there's a plan for that position.
There had been talks about the Cardinals possibly trading out from the 3rd overall spot for the last couple of weeks because so many teams needed a quarterback, and that gave them a lot of opportunity. However, the fact that the Cardinals made 2 trades in the 1st round, how shocked are you that Monti Ossenfort was able to pull that off and so quickly to go from 3 to 12 and then back up to 6?
Historically, draft day trades involving a top 5 pick are very, very difficult. Typically, you see them in the weeks, months leading up to. In fact, this is the first time since 2017. This is the last time, or that was the last time, a team with a top 5 pick traded down, and that was the 49ers moving from 2 to 3 with the Bears, who selected quarterback Mitchell Trubisky. So you don't see this a lot, but I'm sure what happens on draft day, you know this, all these discussions had happened days, weeks leading up to this, to where, all right, we're on the clock at number 3. Here are our scenarios. Do you want pick number 3? Houston Texans? Yeah, we do. This is what we're willing to offer. Okay, but the Cardinals had to wait to see what was going on, not with number 1. I think everyone knew that it was going to be Bryce Young. But the Texans with their 2nd, number 2 overall. Was that going to be a quarterback? Was that going to be a defensive player? And then when the Cardinals were on the clock, that's when you were able to say, all right, what do you want to do if you're the Houston Texans or someone else? Tennessee Titans was another team that we had talked about. Any of those quarterback needy teams, the Raiders, the Falcons, even the Seahawks, could potentially look to move up, but it turned out to be the Texans.
Here's what I like about this trade is that the Cardinals have so many needs that they are now in a position to address many of those needs, and not just this year, but also next year, getting Houston's 1st and 3rd in 2024, and we don't know what's going to happen. However, the Texans drafting a quarterback with the 2nd overall pick, you would hope and think that with a rookie quarterback, your draft pick might be a little higher than other teams, and so that bodes very well for the Cardinals, who now have the 1st and 3rd from the Texans in next year's draft. 2
number 1s and 2 picks in the 3rd round. That's what the Cardinals are looking at in 2024. And again, we always talk about the immediate and what is upcoming this season, but you also have to look down the road, because as much as this team wants to win here this season, there's still a lot of question marks based off the health of one quarterback, Kyler Murray. When is he going to be able to come back? So potentially that pick, including the Texans pick next season, could be one of the better ones, maybe the upper 3rds of the 2024 NFL draft. You just have to wait, but it's about the planning, the now and in the future.
Let's talk about wide receivers. Oh, we'll talk about wide receivers maybe in a moment, because momentarily we will be joined by General Manager Monti Ossenfort after pulling off 2 trades in the first round and ending up with tackle Paris Johnson. So as he gets situated and gets mic'd up, we will have him on here momentarily. Lots of questions to ask him with those trades. Again, the Cardinals selecting Paris Johnson Jr., first round, 6th overall pick, a tackle. Still a need for the Cardinals, as we've talked about, Craig. You are looking for depth on that offensive line all the time. And head coach Jonathan Gannon does like to have competition. So this will be exciting as we get Monti Ossenfort up here on the desk momentarily. He's going to come and join us. Congratulations, you've been a little busy.
Yeah, a few things moving. How we doing, guys?
We're doing well. How are you doing?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good to see you guys.
We appreciate you joining us. We know that you have been very busy.
Yeah.
So first we got to ask, starting with 3, and then you moved down to 12 with the Texans and back up with the Lions. How did you pull that off?
Well, it was a lot of people chipping in, a lot of action going on at the same time. You know, it was really, we were waiting to see how the first 2 picks came off. We had a few teams that were interested in coming up to our spot. Had some discussions today, all day long during the day, kind of laying some parameters. And then, you know, we made the decision that we did when Houston made the move to come up and picked up a couple extra picks in next year, a 1st and a 3rd, also a high 2nd round pick. And then we knew we would need that, dropping back to 12, we knew we would need that as currency to work our way back up to where we did at number 6.
The plan, though, from 12 was to move back up, or
Absolutely.
was that just happen?
Yeah, that was definitely part of the plan. It was something that we had started thinking about a few days ago. We worked through a lot of scenarios this week about how exactly we would do that. We had various places that we talked about moving back to, and obviously the further you move back, the more it's going to take to move back up. So those were things that we looked at, and the opportunity presented itself, and we jumped at it.
You drafted Paris Johnson Jr., a tackle. What traits will make him a good fit with the Cardinals?
Well, first and foremost, you know, it's Paris's football character. I mean, he is about the right things. He comes from a good program at Ohio State. Coach Day there. They've been highly successful. They've done a great job. They've won a lot of games, and Paris wants to win. He's a highly intelligent individual. And he's impressed us the whole way. We got a chance to meet with him at the Combine, got a chance to bring him in here on a 30 visit, and he really represented himself really well. And that's not even to talk about what he does on the field. You know, he's a big man. He's played guard. He's played left tackle. He's played at a high level, blocked some really good people in the Big Ten. And, you know, we're just excited to add him as a person and as a football player.
Maybe early right now, but where do you see him this season, tackle or guard?
Wherever he finds a spot. Hey, he's gonna have every opportunity to come in here and win a spot. And wherever that is, we're going to put our best 5 out on the field. And so the beauty with Paris is that he has played both spots. So wherever that is, we're going to put our best people out on the field.
This was your first draft as a general manager. What was your demeanor up in the war room?
It was exciting. It was really exciting, and we had a few things going on. I had a lot of people that did a really nice job helping us work through scenarios. Dave Sears and Charlie Adkins and Rob Kissel did an outstanding job of working through some scenarios that we had going. It was an exciting time. It was waiting to see if we could get a deal. We had a couple offers out there to see if we could work our way back up, and so it manifested itself, and we're excited.
Positions now moving forward, whether you try to get back into the first round or on day 2 with 2nd and 3rd round selections?
Good football players and good football character. That's what we're looking for. We're looking to add good people to our team no matter what position it is, and so if it's the right fit for our team, we're going to add them.
Monti, we appreciate the time. We know you've been busy, so thank you for joining us here on Cardinals Draft Central, and best of luck with the rest of the draft. We're going to let you go deal with the rest of the media at your press conference.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys. You bet. We'll see you later this weekend. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
Yep. Thank you.
The Cardinals with 2 trades in the first round selecting tackle Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State. That was General Manager Monti Ossenfort. We will later hear from head coach Jonathan Gannon momentarily as he gets ready. Craig, I liked what Monti Ossenfort had to say about having that versatility, and you're going to wait and see where he fits best on the field.
You put the best 5 on the field, and again, this goes back to general manager makes the selection as far as the player. Now it's the coaching staff, Jonathan Gannon, Clayton Adams, figuring out where does Johnson best fit. Where can you get him on the field as soon as possible? Where is a need right away? You know, DJ Humphries is your left tackle. Right tackle, though, Kelvin Beachum, Josh Jones, maybe Paris Johnson plays right tackle. probably more comfortable playing left tackle as he did last year at Ohio State. But again, if Johnson wants to be or get on this field, where does he play immediately? And if that is guard, then I'm sure he'll be comfortable playing guard because everyone wants to play. No one wants to be on the sideline watching.
Absolutely. So they'll have a press conference again. We'll have head coach Jonathan Gannon joining us momentarily, and I like the mention as well about character. That's something we hear from head coach Jonathan Gannon, Monti Ossenfort reflecting that same thought. And we're going to get head coach Jonathan Gannon up on this desk here right now. Thanks for joining us.
How we doing?
Coach, welcome.
Well.
Congratulations.
Hey, Dani.
Head coach Jonathan Gannon joining us here on Cardinals Draft Central. Coach, congratulations.
Thank
You get
you.
your first player in the draft, 6th overall tackle, Paris Johnson Jr. What stands out about him to you?
Just that, I mean, when he came in here, he just impressed us throughout the whole process, meeting with him at the combine. And then in the top 30 visit that we had him in, and he's just a phenomenal person, and that's what we want to do. We want to bring in great character people, and he fits that mold.
As far as a football player, we know you're big on the versatility, tackle, guard. Where do you see him best fitting with this team right now?
Yeah, you just said it, Craig. I mean, we'll get him on the grass and we'll see, you know, and it's everything's open for competition, and we're excited about his skill set, being able to play inside and outside, and we got time to figure that out.
He has his own foundation, Paris Johnson Jr. He helps with disadvantaged student athletes, disabled veterans. You talk a lot about wanting high character players. How much did that come into the decision-making process on how high he was for you on your board of players?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, it's a big deal to me, and Monti as well. You know, we want to bring in good character guys, and typically the higher character you have off the field and on the field, you typically become a really good player. So just really excited to get him in the building.
Has your phone been buzzing? There were reports.
It has.
There were reports heading into the draft that Kyler Murray was looking at Paris Johnson as an offensive tackle and a potential first-round draft pick. Has there been a response from QB1?
Yeah, Kyler has. He's texted me. So I'm sure he's excited. He's excited to add good people to the building and good players. So that's what he's excited about. But yeah, I had already a couple offensive guys reach out to me.
You are always high energy in the war room. 2 trades going down. What was your demeanor? How loud were the claps?
I would love to see the video of it because I think I was pretty cool, calm, and collected. I was starting to get a little nervous for Monti, but because there was a lot going on fast. It was like a 2-minute drive trying to call the defense, but it was cool. There were a lot of people that did the prep work to make that go the way that it did. And I was actually very impressed with everybody in there. And I know we have good people, but to see them work on the clock is pretty cool. So they did a really good job.
Had you had previous experience in the draft room in Philadelphia or Indianapolis, or was this the first time?
This was the first time I was in there for the whole kit and caboodle. I typically would come in, they say, "Are you good with this guy?" I would say, "Yeah," and they would pick him. So, but I got to see how the trades went down and the point system and this and that. So it was pretty neat.
I know we probably won't get a specific answer out of you, but moving forward, looking ahead to days 2 and 3, what positions really stand out in terms of greatest need for this team?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of depth at different positions on that board right now, but always, Dani, good people first, and versatile, good skill sets, and that can help us come win and compete. So I'm sure that will reveal itself tomorrow.
Well, congratulations,
Thank
Coach.
you. Thank you.
We
appreciate it.
the time.
Okay.
Best of luck with the rest of the
All
draft.
right.
Head coach Jonathan Gannon heading off to do a press conference with general manager Monti Ossenfort. They have been very busy. Again, 2 trades. First, with the 3rd overall pick, took him down to number 12.
Swap it.
Then they moved up to 6th with the Detroit Lions drafting Paris Johnson Jr., a tackle from Ohio State who also has that versatility, that experience at the guard position as well. Craig, what stood out to you about what head coach Jonathan Gannon had to say about the newest Arizona Cardinal?
Look, it's the question that we all want answered as far as when a new player comes in. All right, how is that player going to help the Arizona Cardinals immediately? And when you have the versatility, it's something we've heard from Jonathan Gannon repeatedly. We'll see. Because, one, you do want to see what they are capable of doing when you get them on the football field. But it's that versatility of being able to play guard and tackle. And now I'm fascinated because, one, you have to at least put him on the field at some position to start. can't split. I wouldn't think you'd split reps during a practice day or change it every other day. But where do they start Paris Johnson at? Is it tackle, where he is probably a little bit more comfortable because that's where he played most recently? Or do they look and approach him and say, look, we have enough depth at tackle, but there is a hole at right guard, or maybe it's left guard, depending on what happens with Will Hernandez. And then you say, this is your best way, the best opportunity, the quickest way that you can get on the field and contribute is at guard. And then we'll see down the road, barring an injury, knock on wood, it doesn't happen, then that versatility of a Paris Johnson can come into effect and play for this team.
The hope is with a 6th overall pick in the draft, that player, that rookie, to come in and be able to make an immediate impact. However, if for some reason Paris Johnson needs a little bit of time to fine-tune his skills now in the NFL, you still have DJ Humphries and Kelvin Beachum as your tackle, so they still have that safety net if Paris Johnson needs a little bit of time to get situated.
Well, and think if you're Johnson coming into a brand new environment, a brand new team, you walk into that locker room and you have a DJ Humphries, you have a Kelvin Beachum to pick their brain, to learn. Now, we know Beach is someone who is more than willing to offer advice on and off the field. DJ Humphries, we still think of him as being that young player, but he is a veteran in that room. Paris Johnson is coming in and going to learn from two of the better at that position.
We're going to wrap it up here on Cardinals Draft Central. However, we will be back Saturday with 5 minutes left on the clock before the Cardinals' final pick, pick 213. Friday and Saturday, you can tune into NFL Network to watch the draft. Right now, we're going to send it over to General Manager Monti Ossenfort and Head Coach Jonathan Gannon for a joint press conference. From the Seatgeek Studios for Craig Grialou, I'm Dani Sureck. Thanks so much for joining us here on Cardinals Draft Central.
Waiting, we had a couple options there, depending what would happen at 1 and 2. And so then when Houston made their pick at number 2, it adjusted kind of who was interested in coming up to number 3. And so at that point, we were on the clock, and we were prepared to take a player, and we were weighing a couple options, and the option with Houston presented itself for us to grab a high second-round pick, and then to also grab a first and a third next year, which was really important. Not something that we set out to do. We were ready to pick a player, but the opportunity presented itself, and so we dropped back to 12. Once we were back to 12, we knew these were scenarios that we walked through during the week, and started investigating possibilities to climb back up. And when we had an opportunity to do that, we had a couple calls, had a couple lines in the water. Got our opportunity to do that with Detroit, and gave up the two that we had picked up in the trade with Houston. Had a couple of swapped a couple late round picks there, and moved up to grab Paris. So excited to add Paris. Spent a lot of time with Paris between the combine and the 30 visit. Impressive young man. You guys will get a chance to meet him tomorrow. Comes from a good program at Ohio State. Coach Day runs a great program there at Ohio State. They've won a lot of games. Paris has played guard. He's played tackle. So opportunity to add a high character individual who's also got a lot of ability on the field. So the opportunity presented itself, and we went ahead and made the move. So.
Do you see him as a day one starter? And if so, which spot?
We'll see how that goes, Cam. We'll see how that goes. I don't think we're ready to name. We got a few months to go before we got to play a game. We're going to put our best 5 on the field, and so Paris will be worked at multiple spots just like everybody else is, and we'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, Paris has versatility. We'll work him in there, and we'll see where this ends up.
Dani, had you had the inner talk with the Lions before today?
Yeah, we had talked to a lot of teams in the top 10. Just teams that were interested in coming up to 3, and then also teams that, in anticipation, if we did drop back, we had discussions with teams about making that jump. What we were trying to do is just minimize the unknown, which I don't think you can ever completely do, but we were trying to at least get a framework of what a trade would be to, I guess, move back, and then again move back up.
I know you were saying you didn't necessarily go into the day expecting to trade 3, but when you're looking at the big picture, that first round pick, Was that something maybe in the back of your head you didn't mind getting if that was at all possible?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that was something that presented itself. I mean, always whenever you have the ability to add first round picks, whether it's this year or next year, I mean, that's always something that's intriguing. It just gives us flexibility going into next year. And it also it helped that some of the currency that we gained in the trade back, we used it to move back up. So I don't think it's something that we said, oh, we got to at the start of the day, oh, we have to come out of here with this and this. That's not what it was. But the opportunity came up, and we liked what it meant for the team, and so we made a move.
How much pre-discussion perhaps was there with the Texans, because they were a team obviously moving up that wasn't relying on what happened at 2, because they controlled 2 also. Yeah,
it was an interesting situation. Had discussions with the Texans over the last couple of days, as we did with multiple teams. So I'd say there was multiple teams that were interested in moving up to 3. So that was something that we were weighing, let's call it over the last 48 hours, and just weighing if it would make sense for us and what that would mean in terms of dropping back how far.
That was quite a 45 minutes for any GM.
Wow, you should have been in the room, man. Yeah.
GM, I mean, now that it's over for now, like what's it feel to be like such a wheeler dealer on your first
wheeler dealer, man. I'm not gonna lie, it was exciting, man. It was awesome. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. But I'll tell you this, I had a lot of help in there. There was it was tense there. That the clock was winding down there on our third pick when we finally got the deal with Houston worked out. And I would say, some guys that I leaned heavily on, Dave Sears, Charlie Adkins, Rob Kissel, did an unbelievable job of prepping us for the trade scenarios. And then even more so when it came time to, once we did the trade back, there was multiple spots to that we thought we could jump. And so, those guys working through trade scenarios and what one would mean and which one was better for us, those guys did a phenomenal job, and I couldn't have done it without them.
You came out in the first round?
What's that?
Are you guys done in the first round?
Cam, you never say never, but I'm sitting down here with you guys right now, so I think we're good for a while here. Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins over this time period?
I don't foresee that happening. I don't know what is going to happen here in the next couple of days. Right now, I don't foresee that happening. No.
And then it was reported that Kyler wanted this pick. And
somebody told me that. We got to get Kyler on the scouting staff. Maybe we can start sending him out on the road and look at some guys. I didn't know that. Somebody told me that this was Kyler's pick. I don't know if he knows Paris or you know what? I think they bumped into each other when Paris was here on the 30 visit. So. Kyler's a fan, so that's good.
Is it just coincidence that you made deals with a guy that you're close with, and then Sears' old team?
Yeah, well, here's what I'd say. I think it is coincidence, but what it does do is it makes the conversation easy, right? Like, because I can call up Nick and Nick Casario down in Houston, who's been a friend and a mentor of mine, and we can. I trust Nick, he trusts me, and we can have honest conversations about, hey, yeah, this would work, this wouldn't work, and Dave being able to pick up the phone and calling, initiating conversations with Detroit. Sure, that helps. But in the end, we're gonna do the best move that's the best for the team, regardless of who's on the other end.
You said you don't foresee anything happening with DeAndre. Are you saying tonight or just through the entire draft?
Through the entire draft, yeah.
What do you like about Paris?
When you're meeting with Paris, besides what goes on off the field, what is it about his character that stuck out to you?
A lot of things. I mean, high football character, highly intelligent, well-spoken, mature, dependable. You can tell that he's made of the right things, the things that we want not only our offensive linemen to be made of, but our entire team. So, to be able to add a player that is both high football character and has a lot of ability on the field, that's a big step for us as a program moving forward.
I would assume you're the one that made the call to Paris, and if so, what was that like for you to be in that role of making someone's dream come true?
It was really special. This is what a moment for Paris and his family. Something that he's dreamed about, I'm sure, since he was a kid. A unique story that, you know, his father was actually a draft pick of the organization. You know, Paris said something to me on his 30 visit that, you know, he sat across from me, and I got a chance to meet with the college prospects. I'm usually one of the last ones to meet with them during the day, and you know, Paris said to me, I want to be here. I want to be an Arizona Cardinal, and I want to finish what my dad started. And that was, you know, that really hit me. And I'm excited to get him here, and I'm excited for you guys to get a chance to meet him as well.
In years past, we've been told that Kyler's kind of expressed interest in particular players in years past. Were there any conversations like that with Kyler this year?
No, I didn't have any conversations like that. I would say, you know, what we tend to do is if there's a player on our team that may know a college prospect that we either bring in or done work on, yeah, we'll ask him about, hey, what's this guy like? Is this guy made of the right stuff? How's he going to fit in the locker room? I didn't have any conversations like that with Kyler this year. I mean, Kyler's a few years removed now, so he doesn't know a lot of these guys anymore. So.
Why don't you tell us about the whole situation with the Eagles and the Tampa?
Yeah, sure. So here's what I'd say, guys. You know, I made a mistake. I own that. You know, it's a situation that we were able to resolve. I've apologized to Michael Bidwell. I've apologized to our staff, and you know, I think the deal that we worked out, you know, it is what it is, and we're just moving on from it, and that's, you know, really don't have a lot more to say on it.
What if we can just add a little more at DeAndre? I mean, where do you think it stands now with him? Is there actually a chance he could still be here?
Absolutely. DeAndre's a Cardinal. So DeAndre's a Cardinal, and we're moving forward.
Monty, good deal. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.